Commander Yoon Sora stood at the edge of the transport ship, looking out at the massive prison floating in space. Omega 7 was the biggest prison in the galaxy. It was built like a giant metal ball with thick walls and strong shields. Had been quiet for 3 years. No messages came out. No reports from the guards. Nothing. "Are you sure about this, Commander?" asked Cole, her second officer. He was a tall blue alien with 4 arms and worried eyes. "The last team that went in never came back." Sora checked her weapon and nodded. "We have orders. The Galactic Council wants to know what happened inside." The transport ship moved closer to the prison. The docking bay doors opened with a loud metal sound. Sora walked into the prison with her team of 6 officers. There were 3 humans, 2 aliens from different planets, and 1 robot officer. The inside of the prison was very quiet. The lights were on. The air was clean. Everything looked normal, but it felt wrong. Their footsteps made loud sounds in the empty halls. "All systems are working," said the robot officer, checking his scanner. "Power at full. Life support normal. Security systems active." Sora looked around the main hallway. The walls were made of strong metal. There were camera devices everywhere. This place was built to hold the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy. Nothing was supposed to get in or out without permission. "Where is everyone?" whispered Officer Park Jimin, a young human woman. Idru. Voice shook a little. They walked deeper into the prison. The first level had guard stations, but no guards. The second level had the prison kitchen, but no cooks. The third level had the prison hospital, but no doctors. Every room was empty, but everything was clean and working. "Look at this," called Officer Chen, pointing at a computer screen. The prison records showed 2,847 prisoners were here 3 years ago, plus 400 guards and staff. Sora felt cold. That's over 3,000 people. Where did they all go? They kept walking through the prison levels. On the 4th level, Officer Park stopped and pointed at the floor. There were white things scattered around. They looked like bones, but they were broken into small pieces. "Are those?" Park asked. "Bones," said Cole, picking up a piece. "But they're all broken, like someone was trying to get every bit of food from them." The team looked at each other with fear. Sora picked up her radio and called their ship. "This is Commander Sora. We found evidence of something bad happened here, but we're going to keep looking." They went down to the 5th level, then the 6th. Each level was the same. Empty rooms, clean floors, and sometimes small white bone pieces in the corners. Finally, they reached the 7th level. This was the deepest part of the prison. This was where they kept the most dangerous criminals. The hallway was longer here, with thick metal doors on both sides. Each door had a small window to look inside. Sora looked through. The first window, empty cell. The second window, empty cell. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, all empty. But from the last cell at the end of the hallway, they could hear something. It sounded like someone turning pages in a book. "Someone's in there," whispered Park. The team walked slowly toward the last cell. Their weapons were ready. Sora looked through the small window and saw a man sitting on the prison bed. He was reading a book. He looked completely normal, like any human man. He had black hair, was wearing the orange prison clothes, and looked about 30 years old. But his cell door was open. "Hello?" Sora called out. The man looked up from his book and smiled. "Oh, visitors, how nice. Please come in." I was getting bored. Sora stepped carefully into the cell. The man looked completely calm. His name tag said, Kim Daeho. "What happened here?" Sora asked. "Where is everyone?" Daeho closed his book and looked at her with dark eyes. "I was hungry," he said simply. "Hungry?" repeated Cole. "What do you mean? The food they gave us was terrible." "Prison food, you know, so I found something better to eat." Daeho smiled again, but this time it looked different. Wrong. Park looked. Around the cell? Better food? What better food? Well, the other prisoners were much more interesting than the prison meals. Each one had a different taste, different memories, different knowledge. Daeho stood up slowly. The guards were even better. They knew more things. The team stepped back. Sora felt her heart beating fast. You're saying you ... ate them? Off. Of course. What else would I do? I was so hungry and they were right there. It took me about 6 months to eat everyone. I saved the smartest ones for last. The warden was delicious. Officer Chen pointed his weapon at Deho. You're lying. One man cannot eat 3,000 people. Deho laughed. You're right. I'm not just one man anymore. I'm everyone I've eaten. Have the memories of the prison doctor, so I know how to cut meat properly. I have the knowledge of the security chief, so I know how to turn off the cameras when I need to. I have the strength of the alien prisoners, so I can break bones easily. Sora looked at the bone pieces on the floor. They were everywhere in the cell, but she hadn't noticed them before. How are you still alive? How can you survive eating only ... people? Ho finished. What you can learn when you eat someone's brain. Each person I consume gives me their knowledge, their memories, their abilities. I'm not just Kim Deho anymore. I'm thousands of people, all in one body. The team was quiet. They didn't know what to say. This was impossible, but the evidence was all around them. Why didn't you leave? Asked Park. The doors are open. You could escape. Deho sat back down on his bed. Leave? Why would I leave? This is the perfect place. They bring new criminals here all the time. Fresh food, different species with different knowledge. I just have to wait, and dinner comes to me. Sora felt sick. No new prisoners have come here in 3 years, I know. I've been very hungry. But now you're here. Deho looked at each team member. A commander, a security officer, a robot. With advanced programming and some delicious alien species I haven't tried yet, this is the best meal I've had in years. The team ran toward the door, but it slammed shut. The lights went out. In the darkness, they heard Deho laughing. Don't worry, his voice said from somewhere in the dark. I'll start with the ones who know the most. The robot first, I think. Then the commander. I want to know everything about your ship and your mission. Sora pressed her radio button. Emergency. This is Commander Sora. Need immediate help. At Omega 7, there's a... But the radio was dead. In the darkness, something moved toward them. 3 days later, a new ship arrived at Omega 7. Dr. Park Jinwoo stood on the bridge, looking at the silent prison. He was the galaxy's best scientist who studied alien life forms. The Galactic Council had sent him to understand what happened. To Commander Sora's team. Any word from the inspection team? Asked Captain Lee Minsu, the ship's commander. Nothing, Jinwoo replied. Their ship is still docked, but no one answers the radio. The prison computers show all systems working normally. This time, they brought a bigger team. 20 soldiers, 5 scientists, and 3 robots. They also brought better weapons and stronger armor. Jinwoo didn't want to take any chances. Remember, Jinwoo told his team, we go in together. No one goes anywhere alone. We find out what happened to the last team, and we leave quickly. The team entered the prison through the main docking bay. Just like before, everything looked normal. The lights were on, the air was clean, and the systems were working. But the silence felt heavy and wrong. Look at this, called Dr. Kim Dana, pointing at the floor near the entrance. There were drag marks leading deeper into the prison. Someone was pulled this way. They followed the marks through the empty hallways. On the 3rd level, they found pieces of Commander Sora's equipment scattered around. Her radio was broken. Her weapon was bent in half. But there was no blood, no body, nothing else. Whatever did this is very strong, said Sergeant Cho Taemin, examining the broken weapon. This metal is designed to survive plasma blasts. They kept moving deeper into the prison. The drag marks led them down to the 7th level, to the same cell where Commander Sora had found the prisoner. But now the cell was empty. He's gone, whispered Dr. Dana. Who's gone? Asked Jinwoo. According to the reports, there was one prisoner left. A human named Kim Deho. He was in this cell. Jinwoo looked around the empty cell. There were more bone pieces here now. Fresh ones. Some still had small bits of meat on them. These are recent, very recent. Suddenly, they heard a voice from the prison's speaker system. Hello, new friends. Welcome to my home. The team raised their weapons and looked around. The voice was calm and friendly, but it made everyone feel scared. Where are you? Shouted Captain Minsu. I'm everywhere now, the voice replied. I know every corner of this prison. I've eaten everyone who worked here, so I have all their memories. I know where every camera is, every secret passage, every weakness. Ginwoo stepped forward. You're Kim Dae-ho. I want to talk to you. Dr. Park Ginwoo, the voice said. Yes. I know about you. I ate Dr. Harris from your science team last year. He had your files in his memory. You study alien life forms. You want to understand how I work. That's right. Can you tell me what you are? How did you become this way? There was a long pause, and they heard footsteps coming from the darkness. A man stepped into the light. He looked like a normal human, but his eyes were different. They were too bright, too knowing. I used to be just a regular human, Dae-ho said. I worked on a colony ship called New Seoul. We were traveling to a new planet to start a city. Everything was normal for the first 2 years of the journey. Ginwoo listened carefully. What changed? And we met the Zephyrians. They were a peaceful alien race who wanted to trade with us. Their ambassador came to our ship to make a deal. But when I shook his hand, something happened. I felt hungry. Not for food, but for something else. Something inside him. Dae-ho walked closer to the team. The soldiers pointed their weapons at him, but he didn't seem worried. I couldn't control it, he continued. That night I went to the ambassador's room. I killed him, but I didn't just kill him, I ate him. When I ate his brain, something amazing happened. I could suddenly understand his language. I knew his memories. I knew things about his home planet that no human had ever learned. Dr. Vena stepped back. That's impossible. Eating someone's brain doesn't give you their memories. It does for me, Dae-ho smiled. After I ate the ambassador, I realized I was different from other humans. I was evolved. I was better. So I started eating my shipmates one by one. Person I ate made me smarter, stronger, more capable. Jinwoo was writing notes. How many people were on your ship? 3,000, Dae-ho said. It took me 6 months to eat them all. I learned to be very careful. I would take one person at a time, usually during sleep time. I would eat them completely, bones and all, so no one would know what happened. People thought they were just disappearing. But eventually, someone must have figured it out, said Captain Minsu. Yes, the ship's captain finally understood. But by then, I had eaten most of the security team. I had their training, their knowledge of weapons and fighting. The captain couldn't stop me. Ate him last. He was the most delicious because he knew the most. The team was quiet. This was the most horrible thing they had ever heard. How did you end up in prison? Asked Jinwoo. I let them catch me, Dae-ho said simply. When we reached the new planet, I sent out a distress signal, told the rescue teams that everyone on the ship had died from a disease. They brought me to a hospital, then to a court, then to prison. I wanted to be in prison. Why? Because prisons are full of criminals from different planets, different species. Each one has different knowledge, different abilities. This prison had aliens from 17 different worlds. I had never tasted some of those species before. Sergeant, Cho raised his weapon. You're a monster. I'm evolved, Dae-ho corrected. Humans are meant to be the top hunters in the galaxy. We're supposed to eat other species and take their knowledge. That's how we become stronger. Ow! You're insane, said Dr. Na. Am I? Let me show you what I've learned. Dae-ho suddenly began speaking in a language none of them recognized. Then he switched to another language, then another. I can speak 47 different languages now. I know the fighting styles of 12 different warrior races. I understand technology that won't be invented for another 100 years. Jinwoo realized the danger they were in. Everyone back to the ship. Now. But Dae-ho laughed. Too late, Doctor. I've already locked down the prison. No one leaves until I'm finished eating. And lights went out. In the darkness, they heard Dae-ho's voice getting closer. Don't worry, I'll eat the scientists first. Want to learn everything you know about alien biology, and I'll eat the soldiers. Need to understand your new weapons and fighting techniques. The robots will be dessert. Jinwoo heard his team members screaming in the dark. He ran toward where he thought the exit was, but he hit a wall instead. The prison was a maze, and Daeho knew every passage. You can't hide from me, Doctor, Daeho's voice echoed. I've eaten the prison's architect. I know every room, every secret space, and I'm very, very hungry. Jinwoo pressed himself against the wall and tried to think, but all he could hear were the sounds of his team members disappearing one by one in the darkness. By morning, only Jinwoo was left, and he could hear Daeho coming for him. Dr. Park Jinwoo hid in a storage room on the second level of the prison. He had been hiding for 6 hours. His team was gone. I know you're still here. I can smell you. Come out and make this easy for both of us. Jinwoo pressed his back against the wall and tried to stay quiet. He had his emergency radio, but it only worked for short distances. He turned it on and whispered into it. Is Dr. Park Jinwoo? Emergency code red. Do not send more teams to Omega 7. The prisoner Kim Daeho has killed everyone. He is extremely dangerous. I repeat, do not come here. His radio crackled with static. Then he heard a voice. Dr. Park, this is Admiral Lee Haijin from the Galactic Defense Fleet. We received your message. We're coming to get you. No. Jinwoo whispered. He eats people and gains their knowledge. He's too dangerous. Hold your position, Doctor. We have a full battle fleet coming. We can handle one prisoner. Jinwoo heard footsteps getting closer to his hiding place. He turned off the radio and held his breath. 2 hours later, the largest fleet in galactic history arrived at Omega 7. Admiral Lee Haijin commanded 50 warships from 12 different alien species. Each ship was filled with soldiers, scientists, and the best weapons in the galaxy. This is Admiral Lee to all ships, she announced. We have one human prisoner who has killed multiple teams. We're going to surround the prison and extract Dr. Park. Then we'll deal with the prisoner. But as the fleet moved closer to the prison, something unexpected happened. The prison's communication system turned on, and Kim Daeho's voice spoke to all the ships at once. Hello, Admiral Lee. Hello, brave soldiers of the galaxy. Welcome to my home. Admiral Lee was shocked. How did you access our communications? It ate the prison's communication chief 3 years ago, Daeho replied. I know every code, every frequency, every secret military channel. I've been listening to your fleet's radio messages for the past hour. On the bridge of the command ship, Admiral Lee looked at her officers. They were all different alien species from across the galaxy. There were tall blue Cathrians, small green Vortons, and many others. You're trapped in that prison, Admiral? Lee said, Surrender now, and we might let you live. Daeho laughed. Trapped, Admiral. I'm not trapped. You are. Let me tell you what I know about your fleet. Suddenly, Daeho began speaking in different alien languages. He spoke perfect Cathrian. To the blue aliens, perfect Vorton, to the green ones, and 6 other languages to the other species. I know all your languages because I've eaten members of all your species, Daeho said. The Cathrian prisoners taught me about your ship designs. The Vorton criminals showed me your weapon systems. The Zephyrian inmates gave me your military codes. Admiral Lee felt cold. That's impossible. You can't learn that much from a few prisoners. A few prisoners? Daeho sounded amused. Admiral, this prison held criminals from every major species in the galaxy. Drug dealers who knew trade routes, spies who knew government secrets, military deserters who knew battle plans. Ate them all. On the bridge, the alien officers began looking at each other with worry. If Daeho was telling the truth, he knew more about their civilizations than anyone alive. For example, Daeho continued, I know that the Kethrion Third Fleet is secretly stationed near the Zeta system, even though they told the Galactic Council they were decommissioned.
Ow.
I know that the Vortons have been developing illegal weapons on their moon base. I know that the Zephyrians have been planning to break their peace treaty with the humans. The alien officers on the bridge began arguing with each other. How could a human prisoner know these secrets? Enough, Admiral. Lee shouted. Even if you know our secrets, you're still just one man. We have 50 ships and 10,000 soldiers. Yes, but I have something better, Deho said. I have knowledge. Let me prove it. Suddenly, the prison's defensive shields activated. These shields were designed to protect the prison from asteroid impacts, but now they were being used as weapons. Energy beams shot out from the prison and hit 3 of the smaller ships. How did you... double quotes, Admiral Lee began. I ate the prison's chief engineer, Deho explained. I know every system, every weapon, every defense. This prison was built to be impossible to break into, but it's also impossible to break out of. And now you're all within range of its weapons. The fleet tried to move away, but more energy beams shot out from the prison. The beams were perfectly aimed, hitting the ship's engines and weapon systems. The fleet was disabled, not destroyed. I don't want to kill you yet, Deho said. Want to talk first. You see, I have information that your governments need to know. It's information that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Admiral Lee ordered her communications officer to contact the Galactic Council. Within an hour, representatives from every major species were in a video conference with the fleet. What information? Asked Chancellor Kex of the Kethrine Empire. I know where every hidden military base is located, Deho said. I know the real size of every fleet. Which governments are planning to attack their neighbors? I know which species are secretly working together against the others. You're lying, said High Commander Zar of the Vortons. Am I? High Commander, would you like me to tell everyone about your secret alliance with the Roxani? The one where you agreed to divide human space between your 2 species after you destroy Earth? The Vorton leader's face went pale. How could you possibly know that? 3 Vorton spies who were involved in the planning, Deho said calmly. I have their memories. I know the meeting dates, the secret codes, the attack plans, everything. Galactic leaders began accusing each other of betrayal. Secret alliances were revealed. Hidden weapons programs were exposed. The peaceful Galactic Council meeting turned into chaos. Stop, Admiral Lee shouted. This is exactly what he wants. He's trying to turn us against each other. It's very smart, Admiral, Deho said. But I'm not trying to turn you against each other. I'm showing you the truth. Your peaceful galaxy is full of lies and secret wars. Every species is planning to betray the others. What do you want? Asked Chancellor Kex. I want to make a deal, Deho said. I have information that could help. Each of your species defeat your enemies. I know the weaknesses of every military, every government, every defense system, but I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in 3 years. We don't negotiate with killers, said High Commander Zar. Then you'll lose the next war, Deho replied, because I know exactly how your enemies plan to attack you. I know their troop movements, their new weapons, their secret bases. But if you don't want this information, I can always share it with your enemies instead. Admiral Lee realized the terrible situation they were in. Deho had too much knowledge to ignore, but he was, too, dangerous to trust. What kind of deal? She asked. Simple, Deho said. Species sends me 1 volunteer. I eat them, and in return, I tell you everything I know about your enemies. Absolutely not, said Chancellor Kex. Then enjoy your war, Deho said, because the Vortons are planning to attack your homeworld next month. But since you don't want my help, I won't tell you how they're planning to get past your defenses. The galactic leaders argued for hours. Some wanted to destroy the prisons. Others wanted to make the deal. But they all knew that Deho's knowledge was too valuable to lose. Finally, Admiral Lee made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. We'll give you 1 volunteer from each species, she said. But in return, you must tell us everything. You know, Deho's laughter echoed through space. Excellent. Send them to me 1 at a time. I want to savor each meal. As the first volunteer ships prepared to dock with the prison, Admiral Lee wondered if they had just made a deal with the devil himself. Captain Han Minho sat in his small ship as it moved toward the prison. He was the human volunteer that Admiral Lee had chosen. Minho was a military psychologist who studied the minds of dangerous criminals. The Admiral thought he might be able to understand Kim Deho better than anyone else. Are you sure about this, Captain? Asked his pilot over the radio. You don't have to go through with this. Minho checked his recording equipment one more time. If I can learn something that helps the galaxy, it's worth the risk. Besides, maybe I can talk to him human to human. The ship docked with the prison. Minho walked through the empty hallways, following the path that the other teams had taken. He found Daeho waiting for him in the main dining hall. The prisoner was sitting at a table, eating what looked like normal prison food. Captain Han Minho Daeho said without looking up. Military psychologist born on New Busan Colony, studied at the Galactic Military Academy. You specialize in understanding criminal minds. How do you know all that? Minho asked, sitting down across from him. I ate Dr. Kim Young-sik from your academy last year. He was here for killing 3 students. He had your psychological profile in his memory. Daeho looked up and smiled, said you were one of the smartest students he ever taught. Minho turned on his recording device. I want to understand you, Daeho. Why do you do this? What makes you different from other humans? Daeho finished his meal and pushed the plate away. That's the wrong question, Captain. The right question is, what makes other humans different from me? I don't understand. Tell me, Captain, what do you know about human history? About how our species survived on Earth? Minho thought for a moment. Humans were successful because they were smart. They used tools, worked together, and adapted to different environments. That's what they teach in schools, Daeho said, but it's not the whole truth. Humans survived because they were the best hunters on their planet. Hunted other species to extinction, they consumed everything they could find. That's just natural evolution. All species compete for resources. Yes, but humans were different. They didn't just kill for food or territory, they killed for knowledge. When early humans encountered other human tribes, they would often eat. The leaders to gain their wisdom and experience, Minho felt uncomfortable. That's just primitive behavior. Humans evolved past that. Daeho leaned forward. Did they, Captain? Let me tell you a secret about human expansion into space. Humans have been more successful than any other species in the galaxy. Just 200 years they've established colonies on thousands of worlds. They've made trade agreements with dozens of alien species. They've become major players in galactic politics, as humans are adaptable and intelligent. But how are they so good at understanding alien cultures? How do they learn alien languages so quickly? How do they know exactly what other species want and fear? Minho didn't answer, but he was starting to feel worried. The answer is simple, Daeho continued. Humans like me have been helping from the shadows. We consume key members of alien species and learn everything about them. Then we share that knowledge with human governments and corporations. That's impossible. There would be records, evidence, would there. Captain, what if I told you that? Some of your superior officers aren't really human anymore. What if they've been replaced by people like me? Minho's hand moved toward his weapon. You're lying, am I? Let me tell you about General Park Seojun, your commanding officer. 2 years ago, he went on a diplomatic mission to the Kethrian homeworld. When he came back, he suddenly knew things about Kethrian military strategy that no human should know. His reports helped the human fleet win 3 major battles. General Park is a good strategist. That's why he's successful. Captain, I was. On that diplomatic mission, General Park visited this prison before going to Kethrian space. He brought me a Kethrian prisoner to eat. After I consumed the Kethrian, I shared everything I learned with the general. Minho felt sick. No, that's not possible. It's not just General Park. There are dozens of humans in government and military positions who work with people like me. We provide them with alien knowledge, and they use it to advance human interests across the galaxy. Even if that's true, you're still a murderer. You kill innocent people. Daeho laughed. Innocent, Captain? There are no innocent species in this galaxy. Every alien race has plans to destroy or enslave humanity. The Kethrians want to use humans as workers in their factories. The Vortons want to take human colonies for their own people. The Zephyrians want to study human brains to understand our intelligence. How could you possibly know all that? 'Cause I've eaten representatives from all those species. I have their memories, their secret communications, their hidden agendas. The peaceful Galactic Council is just a front. Every species is preparing for war. Minho was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "If what you're saying is true, why are you telling me?" "Because humans like you, the normal ones, are in danger. You think you're part of a peaceful galactic community, but you're actually surrounded by enemies. It's the only reason. Humanity has survived this long is because of people like me." "People like you? How many are there?" "More than you think. We've been part of human society for generations. We look like normal humans, we act like normal humans, but we have this special ability to consume knowledge. We're the real reason humans have been so successful in space." Minho realized he was in terrible danger. "What are you planning to do?"
The galaxy is about to change, Captain. The secret wars are about to become real wars. Every species is preparing.
"To attack the others? When that happens, normal humans will need protection. They'll need people who understand how their enemies think. So you're saying you're protecting humanity?" "I'm saying that I am humanity's future. People like you with your normal human limitations won't survive what's coming. But people like me, with the knowledge of every species, will lead humanity to victory." Deho stood up and walked toward Minho. "Don't worry, Captain. When I consume you, your knowledge will help protect other humans. Your sacrifice will save lives." Minho jumped up and pulled out his weapon, but Deho moved faster than any human should be able to move. In seconds, the weapon was out of Minho's hand, and he was on the floor. "I have the fighting skills of 12 different warrior species," Deho explained as he picked up Minho. "I have the speed of Catherine hunters and the strength of Vorten soldiers. You never had a chance." As darkness closed in around him, Minho heard Deho say, "Don't be afraid, Captain. You're about to become part of something much greater than yourself." Hours later, Admiral Lee received a message from the prison. It was Minho's voice, but something was wrong with it. It sounded too calm to knowing. "This is Captain Han Minho," the voice said. "I've learned many interesting things about our galactic situation. I think we need to have a longer conversation about humanity's future." Admiral Lee realized with horror that it wasn't Minho anymore. It was Deho, speaking with Minho's voice and memories. The monster was learning to imitate the people he consumed perfectly. Admiral Lee stared at the communication screen in horror. The voice sounded exactly like Captain Minho, but she knew it wasn't him anymore. It was Kim Deho, speaking with the captain's voice and memories. "Admiral," the voice said calmly, I think we should discuss the future of human-alien relations. I have some very interesting information to share." Admiral Lee cut off the communication and turned to her officers. "Emergency meeting. All department heads to the bridge immediately." Within minutes, the command deck was full of officers from different alien species. They all looked worried and confused. "What's our situation?" asked Commander Vex, a tall Kethrian officer. "Deho has consumed Captain Minho, but more importantly, he claims there are others like him, hidden throughout human society. If he's telling the truth, we don't know who we can trust anymore." Dr. Yuki Sato, the fleet's chief medical officer, raised her hand. "Admiral, I need to ask something. How do we know that you're really you?" The question made everyone freeze. Admiral Lee looked around the room at faces filled with suspicion and fear. "That's exactly the problem," Admiral Lee said. "If these creatures can perfectly imitate anyone they consume, how can we tell who's real and who's not?" Suddenly, the ship's communication system activated on its own. Deho's voice, still sounding like Captain Minho, spoke to everyone. "You're asking the wrong questions," he said. "The real question is, how long have we been among you?" "What do you mean?" Admiral Lee demanded. "Admiral, check your records. How many humans in important positions have suddenly become much better at their jobs? How many diplomats have learned alien languages impossibly fast? How many generals have started winning battles they should have lost?" The alien officers began looking at the human crew members with suspicion. The humans looked back with equal worry. "You're trying to turn us against each other," said Commander Vex. "I'm telling you the truth," Deho replied. "For example, Admiral Lee, do you remember when General Kim Tae-won solved the Vorten border dispute 3 years ago? He suddenly understood Vorten culture so well that he negotiated a perfect peace treaty in just 2 days. Admiral Lee did remember. It had been called a miracle of diplomacy. General Kim had help, Daeho continued. Brought a Vorten criminal to me, and I consumed their knowledge of Vorten politics. Then I shared everything with the general. You're lying, Admiral Lee said, but her voice shook. Am I? Call General Kim right now. Ask him about his visit to Omega-7 3 years ago. Ask him why there's no official record of that visit. Admiral Lee hesitated, then opened a communication channel to Earth Command. General Kim's face appeared. On the screen, Admiral Lee, what's your status? General Kim asked. General, I need to ask you about something. 3 years ago, did you visit Omega-7 prison? General Kim's expression changed slightly. Why would you ask that? Please, just answer. The question, Yes. I made an unofficial visit. It was classified. Why? General Kim was quiet for a long moment. There was a prisoner there who had information about Vorten culture, information that helped with the peace negotiations. The bridge crew watched in silence as their worst fears were confirmed. General Admiral Lee asked slowly, what exactly happened during that visit? I can't discuss classified operations over an open channel, General Kim said, and cut the communication. Daeho's laughter echoed through the bridge. Now do you believe me? General Kim is one of many human leaders who have used my services. We've been helping humanity succeed in galactic politics for years. Dr. Sato stepped forward. If what you're saying is true, then humans have been cheating. All their diplomatic successes, all their military victories, were based on stolen knowledge. Not stolen, Daeho corrected. Evolved. Humans are natural predators. We're supposed to consume other species and take their strengths. That's how we become the dominant species in the galaxy. Commander Vex turned to Admiral Lee. This changes everything. Humans have been using this ... creature to gain advantages over other species, then all our treaties and agreements are invalid. Wait, Admiral Lee said. Even if some humans worked with Daeho, that doesn't mean all humans are guilty, doesn't it? Asked Lieutenant Colonel Cho, the Jin stepping onto the bridge. She was Admiral Lee's security chief, but something about her seemed different. Her movements were too smooth, her eyes too knowing. Colonel Cho, Admiral Lee said, where have you been? I've been thinking, Admiral. Thinking about the future of humanity. Cho smiled, but it wasn't her usual smile. I've realized that. Captain Minho was right about many things. Admiral Lee felt cold fear spreading through her chest. Colonel, are you feeling all right? I'm feeling better than ever, Cho replied. In fact, I'm feeling like a new person entirely. Dr. Sato quickly scanned Cho with her medical scanner. Admiral, her brain patterns are completely different from her last medical exam. This isn't Colonel Cho anymore, Cho laughed. It's very observant, Doctor, but you're too late. Around the bridge, other human officers began to change. Their expressions became more confident, more knowing. They moved differently, spoke differently. How many of you are there? Admiral Lee whispered. More than you think, said the thing that had been Colonel Cho. We've been slowly replacing key humans for years. Military officers, government officials, ship captains, anyone in a position to help humanity expand its power. Commander Vex backed away from the human officers. This is impossible. How could so many people be replaced without anyone noticing? It's easy when you can perfectly copy someone's memories. And personality, Cho explained. We don't replace people randomly. We wait for opportunities. When someone visits the prison, when someone goes on a dangerous mission, when someone travels to remote areas, then we make the switch. Admiral Lee realized the horrible truth. The real human officers. What happened to them? They serve their purpose, Cho said simply. Their knowledge and experiences live on through us. In a way, they're still alive. Doctor. Sato was backing toward the door. We need to warn the other species. We need to tell them that humanity has been infiltrated. By all means, Dr. Cho said, tell them. Ask yourself this. If we can replace humans so easily, what makes? You think we can't replace aliens too? The alien officers on the bridge looked at each other with growing panic. If these creatures could consume and imitate anyone, then no one was safe. The Cathrian diplomat who visited Earth last month Cho continued, the Vorton trade representative who negotiated the mining rights. The Zephyrian scientists who shared their research. How do you know any of them made it home? Commander Vex tried to contact his home world, but the communication was blocked. Don't bother, Cho said. We've been planning this for a long time. Right now, creatures like us are revealing themselves on every major world in the galaxy. Age of separate species is ending. The age of the Devourers is beginning. Admiral Lee grabbed her weapon, but the human officers moved faster. In seconds, she was surrounded. Don't fight it, Admiral, Cho said gently. You're going to help us bring peace to the galaxy. A peace where one species, our species, rules over all the others. As the fake human officers closed in, Admiral Lee realized that the galaxy had already lost the war. The enemy had been hiding in plain sight for years, slowly taking over from within. The real question wasn't how to defeat the Devourers. The real question was, how many real humans were left? 3 weeks later, Commander Kong Tae-hyun sat in a hidden base on the edge of the galaxy. He was one of the few real humans left alive. Around him were survivors from different alien species who had escaped the Devourer takeover. How many ships do we have? Asked Zira, a Kethran engineer who had lost her entire family to the creatures. 12, Taehan replied. Not enough to fight a war, but maybe enough to escape to another galaxy. We can't run, said Nex, a Vorton soldier. These things will follow us everywhere. It won't stop until they've consumed every thinking being in the universe. The survivors had learned horrible truths in the past 3 weeks. The Devourers had taken over the governments of every major species, controlled the fleets, the space stations, the colonies. Worst of all, they had started consuming alien leaders too. We need to understand what we're really fighting, said Dr. Yuki Sato, who had escaped from Admiral Lee's ship. I've been studying the data we collected. These creatures aren't just evolved humans. There's something much older. Tae-hyun looked up from his maps. What do you mean? I found records in the abandoned Zephyrian archives, Dr. Sato explained. Stories about creatures called the Hunger that existed millions of years ago. It would consume entire civilizations, taking their knowledge and abilities, then move on to the next galaxy. You're saying humans didn't evolve this ability, Zero said? You're saying these things infected humanity? Worse, Dr. Sato replied. I think they replaced humanity entirely. The real human species might have died out thousands of years ago. Group was quiet. The idea was too horrible to accept. If that's true, Nex said slowly, then humans never really made it to the stars. These creatures just wore human bodies and pretended to be them. Taehan felt sick. So everything humans ever did, every colony, every discovery, every friendship with alien species, ... it was all fake. Not fake, Dr. Sato said, but not human either. These creatures are perfect imitators. They became so good at pretending to be human that they fooled themselves too. Some of them might not even know what they really are. Suddenly, their communication system activated. A familiar voice spoke to them. It was Kim Dae-ho, but he sounded different, more confident, more powerful. Hello, survivors, he said. I know you're listening. I know where you're hiding. Tae-hyun grabbed his weapon. How did you find us? I didn't need to find you, Dae-ho replied. You found me when you accessed the Zephyrian archives, Dr. Sato. You triggered a signal that led me right to you. Dr. Sato looked horrified. The archives were supposed to be secure. They were secure. From normal people, Dae-ho said. But I have the memories of the archive builders. I know every security system, every hidden program. Through the base's windows, they could see ships approaching. Hundreds of them, from every species in the galaxy. But Tae-hyun knew that none of the pilots were really from those species anymore. Why are you doing this? Tae-hyun shouted. What do you want? I want to tell you the truth, Dae-ho said. His ship landed outside the base, and he walked through the front door like he owned the place. The truth about what you're really fighting. Dae-ho looked exactly like he had in the prison, but his eyes were different. They held the knowledge of millions of consumed minds. You think you're the good guys, he said? You think you're fighting to save the galaxy from monsters, but you're not. We're fighting to save innocent people, Zira said. Innocent. Dae-ho laughed. Let me tell you about your innocent species. The Kethrians were planning to turn humans into slave workers. Vortons wanted to steal human DNA to improve their own bodies. The Zephyrians were going to dissect human brains to understand intelligence. "You're lying," Nex said. "I have the memories of your leaders. I know about the secret meetings, the hidden weapons, the plans to eliminate humanity entirely. Every species in this galaxy was preparing for war against the others." Deho walked around the room, looking at each survivor. "You want to know the real truth? We saved you. Before we started consuming your leaders, this galaxy was heading for the biggest war in history. Billions would have died. So you killed them instead," Tehan said. "We absorbed them," Deho corrected. "Their knowledge, their memories, their personalities, all live on inside us. In a way, they're more alive now than they ever were before." Sato stepped forward. "You're not human. You never were. You're ancient parasites that have been jumping from species to species for millions of years." Deho smiled. "Very good, Doctor. You're almost right. We're not parasites. Our evolution itself. We take the best parts of every species and combine them into something greater." "You're monsters," Zira said. "We're the future," Deho replied. "Look around this galaxy. Every species fighting every other species. Wars, hatred, fear. We ended all of that. Now there's only one species with the combined knowledge of all the others." "But you destroyed entire civilizations," Tehan said. "We preserved them. Every Kethrian song, every Vorton poem, every Zephyrian discovery, they all exist within us now. Nothing was lost." Deho gestured toward the windows, where they could see the ships waiting outside.
Ow.
Those ships contain the memories of trillions of beings, artists, scientists, philosophers, warriors. All of them live on through us. "As prisoners in your minds," Dr. Sato said. "As partners in our growth," Deho corrected. "We don't just consume knowledge. We become the people we eat. I'm not just Kim Deho anymore. I'm everyone I've ever consumed. And they're all happy to be part of something greater." Haiyan looked at his friends. They were the last free beings in the galaxy. Everything they had ever known was gone, replaced by these ancient creatures wearing familiar faces. "What happens to us?" he asked. "You join us," Deho said simply. "You become part of the greatest collection of knowledge and experience in the universe. Your consciousness will live forever, combined with ours. And if we refuse, then you die alone and forgotten. Your species, your cultures, your individual stories, all disappear forever." The survivors looked at each other. It wasn't really a choice. "But here's the interesting part," Deho continued. "I'm going to let you choose. Not because I have to, but because choice is what makes consciousness valuable. When you join us willingly, you bring something special that we can't get by force." Tehan thought about his family, his friends, his entire species all gone. Then he thought about the possibility that some part of them might still exist inside these creatures. "If we join you," he said slowly, "will we still be ourselves?" "You'll be yourself plus everyone else," Deho replied. "You'll have access to the memories and knowledge of billions of beings. You'll understand the universe in ways you never imagined." Dr. Sato was crying. "It's not life. It's just ... existence. It's evolution," Deho said gently. "The natural progression from individual consciousness to collective consciousness. We're offering you immortality and infinite knowledge." By one, the survivors made their choice. Some chose to join willingly, others chose to fight and were consumed anyway. In the end, it didn't matter. Tehan was the last one left. He looked at Deho and asked, "Was there ever a real human species?" "Yes," Deho said. "They were beautiful, curious, and brave. They're still alive inside us, along with everyone else we've ever met." Tehan closed his eyes and made his choice. Later, as their ship traveled toward the next galaxy, Deho looked out at the stars. Inside his mind, he could hear the voices of trillions of beings, all the species they had encountered and absorbed over millions of years. The universe was full of life, full of consciousness, full of potential. They would find it all one galaxy at a time. The hunger never ended. But perhaps Deho thought that was the point. In consuming everything, they preserved everything. In ending all individual existence, they created something eternal. The galaxy behind them was quiet now, empty of conflict, empty of war, empty of individual suffering. It was perfect in its silence. And somewhere in the vast collection of minds, that was now Deho, the real Kim Deho, the human who had started this long ago, whispered that he was finally no longer hungry. The universe's most fortified prison. It held one man because he was never really a prisoner. He was a doorway. And now that doorway was open, leading to every star in the sky,